His name was Teach when he came to Carolina. Like a man possessed, he scoured the sea, and the devil called him son. Blackbeard Teach, the demon of the sea. Run, you sailors, run. With a beard of flame and a heart of ice, Blackbeard the devil's son.
To get to know our guest a little bit, what was life like growing up in Nova Scotia?
Well, we live on an island out in the ocean, and so we grew up playing war games out in the forest. We had our pretend guns. If our mother or grandmother bought us some toy guns, we'd use those, and if we didn't, we'd craft them from beach driftwood and things like that. We had a great imagination, so we'd often go out in the forest and pretend. The whole setup was we're in Vietnam, because at that time the Vietnam movies were really running rampant. So we would pretend we were the GIs, and then we were always fighting the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong out in the forest, and we'd often have a lot of camo fatigues that our mom or grandmother would pick us up at the used clothing store. And so we were really doing some really cool stuff as young people. That I'm afraid is lost on today's society.
Yeah, do you feel like we're getting soft a little bit in society in some cases?
I just think we're getting lost as children. Like, we're not doing anything outside no more. We're not playing, like, war games or, barely kids will even play sports these days unless you really push them and stuff. So, yeah, I think we are.
So what I've noticed with the Roman Empire is that times got pretty easy. And when times get pretty easy, things start to fall apart. It seems like at sometimes we kind of want to do things the long way or the hard way because it builds our, discipline, or it builds our drive, our ambition. Do you guys feel like that?
Well, if you look at the Canadian military, for example, as a case in point today, they're more worried about their uniforms and how it has to be a certain way to fit your personality and what you identify as. They're more concerned with that as opposed to their operational needs and their fighting needs and their killing needs.
Right. Especially with war. Like, I know that there's sort of two different philosophies that you can fall into when it comes to business. Like, we need diversity for a business. So if you want diversity, you need, different races, you need different people, and those are the people that get hired first.
Right.
And they say that if you have a well-rounded crew, that's sort of how you make the most amount of effectiveness. But then there's the other philosophy that says the best person gets the job, no matter what race they are, no matter what color they are, no matter what they look like. And some people even say they don't need qualifications. Maybe it's the person that's most driven gets the job.
I find that to be true in some points in fishing, but here lately it seems to be maybe who you grew up with, or like which daddy's boy likes you more. You know what I mean? It's not really based on how hard you can work. And I find a lot of people that are older like me can still run the deck kind of by themselves, but yet you see these younger guys getting a job that can barely do it, just because of who they are.
Are they cheaper? Are the younger guys cheaper?
just who they're, like, where they come from, where their social status is, or if their father's friends with that family member, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Right.
Connections.
Yeah,
right.
Connections, exactly.
But here's the give the Nunavut perspective for the namesake of your podcast. We both know that, and this isn't a secret, that jobs are given preferentially to land beneficiary claim people.
Right.
So, for example, that's not necessarily based on qualification as opposed to entitlement.
Right.
And that's not a hypothesis. That's in the job descriptions of the government, the Nunavut website. If you're a beneficiary, meaning for your audience that if you're of Indigenous descent, you stand a better chance of gaining that job per se, as opposed to somebody who has the whatever the quintessential qualifications are.
Right. That is something my father, because I'm a 25% First Nations, I skim over the bar, but they gave me a status card. And so my father's like, don't show your status card to anyone because it's just going to make them upset. It's going to make them mad. But if there's an employer that you know is an employer and you're trying to get the job, flash it away. Yeah.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, me too.
So let's talk a little bit about the fishing, the fishing lifestyle. How do the seasons affect your fishing strategy?
Well, it's not really much to like the seasons affecting it because when the season comes up, it's
When is the season? Is it a short season? Like, the season ever come to an end?
Some season run 6 months, some run 3 months and a breakup, some run by quota. You know what I mean? So,
right.
so what I'm getting at is when the time's on, it doesn't really like no matter what the situation, you're gonna be going.
It's the weather. It's not so much the season, it's the weather.
And the movie, there was a movie I'm pretty sure that took place in Nova Scotia.
Perfect storm.
Yeah, that's the one. When was that time of the year? That huge storm.
That was October area, I think it was, but that was also really they started out in Maine, Cutler, Maine, I think, or somewhere around there, but that really took place like 300 miles off from like the Flemish Cap or something like that.
What were they fishing for?
I think like swordfish and stuff like that.
Is there good money in swordfish?
Big bucks in swordfish. I got a few buddies that do it, and they're just like on the low totem of getting paid, and they're up in like the 100,000, 150,000 just to do the season with them and stick it out.
And then so for that season, let's say, like, how long do you think that season will be?
That season, it usually runs in the summer because of the hurricanes and whatnot, and you're like in them areas, the Flemish Cap, you're up in the Atlantic, like you're all kinds of different, or down in the Atlantic quite a ways, so like where it's warm and stuff.
So you could
Hurricane season comes, in that October range, and that's why it was a big thing for that boat to go out back in the day of the perfect storm because of that time frame.
Would $150,000 sounds extremely enticing. What are the chances you would go out in October for swordfish?
I'm not going.
No? Yeah, too dangerous? Yeah.
My last time, actually, we were fishing for haddock, halibut on George's Bank, 130 miles off from Yarmouth County, and our stabilizer actually come off how it's hooked together and was like going up and down, almost felt like the wheelhouse was going to rip off, and like it was in 35-40 northwest, and that was actually when we made it back from that, and that was my actual last time of going that far again in my life.
Holy cow.
I could go on to a big story of it, but it'd take a long time to actually get it all out, but it was crazy.
Man.
Like our captain actually did kind of what was on the perfect storm. He had to climb so far up and hook a rope and throw it down.
Yeah.
Like it was serious shit, man. I was fucking freaking.
Yeah. When you're out on there, like, is anyone coming to save you if things go south?
The helicopter, if you actually get in something before your boat goes down, given the weather and everyone panicking and different fucking shit that's going on,
and I've been told the currents, it's very difficult to plan your pattern and your stuff. There's so many factors in play.
Yeah, there's to get where I was going. It's called the Channel. It's like the deepest part of the ocean and stuff, and it's actually on a few movies and shit too, like Transformers and whatnot.
No way.
Yeah, where they sink fucking the bad guys. That's why they drop them in that channel. But
Shout out.
What tends to happen is that there are coastal patrol vessels, and we have one on the island where we're from. However, coastal patrol, coastal rescue, but he's within 40-mile range. They can get to you pretty quickly. Yeah, they're pretty quick boats. But
are they the same as the Coast Guard or different?
Yeah, that's the same thing. Coast Guard. Yeah, but however, where they're at, those boats can't get there within 40 minutes. It's hours if they can even get there. Because if you are calling them, for example, and you need them, that's because you're in a terrible situation and they can't get there themselves due to weather.
Yeah, just to interrupt there. It takes us 15 to 17 hours in our fishing vessels, so it's going to take them at least 7 hours to get in there to us in their boat. So the only way is a helicopter, and like I said, that's if you get on your on your safety floating dinghy and all that, all the things it takes to get to just that there and get in it and hope someone's coming.
All right, let's paint a picture for the audience. What are the lead up steps to an overboard, or like to get off your ship into the safety? So like at what point do you know you're in danger?
Well, as soon as you, it's a knowing of, like, soon as you know, like, you'll just know, okay? Like, you'll know when the boat's like, okay, the boat's no longer safe to be on. You just will know.
Like, is it tippy?
It's tippy. The water's coming in. You can feel it sinking. You can feel the water, like, you feel it right heavy.
And no control?
It's, well, you're fucked. Like,
Yeah.
and then, like, before that even happens, to that point, you got your survival suits on and whatnot. If you're prepared and planned, you got all that happening.
Let me interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah.
Here's a way the audience could understand. If you're moving and you're driving your car or your truck, and so a truck or car drives smoothly, very lightly normally, but if you load it up with a bunch of luggage and different things, it all of a sudden gets heavier. So that one little turn to the left becomes very cumbersome. You can feel that weight in the car. And that's the same concept my brother's painting with the boat.
Right.
That same feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, all right, so you've hit the line of danger. You now know it's time to vacate the vessel.
So at that point, you already have, like, your straps off your dinghy and like your life raft. And
What was the bodysuit? You said something about a bodysuit?
Yeah, you got a full bodysuit.
Is that like a wetsuit?
Well, wetsuit, dry suits.
Yeah.
Most of them are dry suits now that everyone carries on boats.
Is
and
that
stuff.
warmer?
Yeah, it keeps the water way better. It gives you X amount of extra hours, whatnot.
Interesting. Heck yeah.
But that goes on. As soon as you feel that there's danger, that goes on. And then you get your stuff ready. You have your pumps going. And when you know the boat's lost, everyone, man overboard.
And
You're
is
supposed to jump from the boat and kind of have a rope to the boat. Your dinghy, your life raft's hooked to the boat. Like, if everything's working.
with the waves.
With the waves, you get in and
Holy
all that
cow.
stuff. And then you cut the life raft free as the boat's going down. But if all case scenarios, you pop it. If you ain't got time, you pop it. You pull the string. Hopefully everyone can get in. It's basically, it comes down to that.
Here's an interesting fact about the life rafts on the fishing vessels, and all vessels actually, is that what he's referring to is you pull the string and whatnot. But they're all designed. They all have this special circular device that's hooked to the rope. That's hooked to the rope that connects to the boat. And what happens is that if the boat capsizes or sinks, the water being inundated in the water triggers a device that it cuts the rope, so the life raft will float to the top and open.
Wow.
In case the boat goes down so suddenly that none of the men can release it manually.
Right.
That's a very important device. I don't know what it's called, but it's a very important device.
And even with that device, like, let's say it's super choppy out there, the boat's going down, men are still on the ship, and like the ship sinks a little bit, and the safety boat pops up. There's still a current. There's still waves going on, so you gotta like swim to the boat.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, if there's scenarios bad where there's wind and whatnot, when that happens, like, I wouldn't want to be on that boat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's a good point proven, though, what he said about the it comes up. Like, it's a chance, right?
Most people that work on boats tend not to be, for whatever reason, the most healthiest of people. For example, like where we're from, most people are overweight,
Right.
very overweight, and so for them they don't do anything much in their lives sport-wise to begin with.
Right.
So when they're inundated in the water in an emergency, they're huffing and puffing. Most are smokers to begin with. To try to swim to a life raft when your whole life's passing through your eyes and you don't have the physical conditioning to do as such, it becomes a very, very dangerous situation.
Yeah, your percentage of living's down 10%, maybe.
How many have there been many deaths off the coast of Nova Scotia?
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It was just a tragic event a few years ago of basically a lobster fishing boat out of Yarmouth, Nova Scotia was out, and basically they encountered something where they just flipped upside down.
The whole boat?
The whole boat. Everyone was lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had no chance. So in that event, like maybe the life raft would pop up, but you're inside the boat. If you're in what he calls the wheelhouse, which is where the captain stands and runs the boat, those doors are shut. And for example, your world's turned upside down. You're now underwater. You banged your head. Water's filling the boat, and you're upside down. Like, the chances of finding your way out of that is slim to none.
Is it still noble for the captain to go down with the boat?
I don't think so.
Nah, yeah, might as well just. Well, yeah, where did that tradition even come from?
I don't know. I think
I think back in the real pirate fucking days.
maybe the pirate days, but also the movie and all the lore about the Titanic teaches us that.
True. Yep.
Because whether or not true or not, the movies and the lore teaches us that the captain went down with the ship.
Right.
I had a friend of mine, actually. His name's Stuart Taylor. Crazy motherfucker, but a good fisherman, good guy. And he actually made sure all his crew got off the boat. The guy actually had to make him come with him.
He was a leader. He was like
he
taking care of his
like,
team.
I'm going to make sure all you guys are off. Passing up his chance to get off, right? But his crew member made him go with him.
And here's another thing: is that it is the law of the sea.
Yeah.
For example, there was a case over in close to I think it was Greece a number of years ago, where the captain of a ferry they ran aground, and the captain got off before the rest of the people, and he was prosecuted.
Fair enough. Yeah. Honestly, I swear, like, if you're responsible for a project, you're a leader. If you're a leader, you take care of the thing. People are only taking care of things within the scope. So if they're hired for your assistant, they're hired for a role within the scope.
Right. You're a captain for a reason.
And anything that happens outside of the scope, that's your project going south. Guess what? It's your project. You got to make sure that you're taking care of those problems that are outside of the structure. Which
I can honestly say that I fished over the last 28 years, a long time, but I fished with probably 4 men that would have done that, and they're all old school guys. They're not like these young fucking punks today.
Yep.
These young punks don't give a fuck whether you're. All their main concern is pull the fucking traps, get the lobsters, sell them out, be there tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. What is it still? Is it still women and children get off first?
Well, where most of the places where I fish from are still in that, like, women aren't on the boat a whole lot, but it is changing, and I like it. It's good for the fishing industry too. Like, there's more women now that even where I came from that go out on the boats now. So
what I heard,
I would imagine if they had any guts at all, or man, that would be women first for sure.
Right. And the other thing too is, like, if the women and children go off, now the men can sort of figure out the solutions in silence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all the chaos is now off the boat.
But most chances are it's normally a captain's son. There's usually not families on there unless it's a captain's son.
Right.
These times, mostly. I know you see a little bit on TV where, I know in the big fishing industry, the crab and the American shows, you see some girls and stuff on there. But
you ever fish for crabs?
Not that. Just the bycatch that come in our lobster fishing traps. They're Jonah crab, and I actually can't even remember the real name, but we all call them packy crabs.
What kind of size are they?
They can be anywhere from like 3.5 inches to 6 inches, but there used to be a measure. I'm not sure about the measure now, but it used to be a 4-inch measure to keep the crabs.
And you can make are those the same? Like, I know the what do they call that show? The king of the crab show.
Yeah, there's different crabs than that. They got.
Can you make similar money?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fish. Where we come from, you can make similar money. Actually, some guys make. I mean, they're not at sea as much as them guys, but they're making a good chunk of money. Like some of the guys that are on boats, like with double licenses, where they're fishing like 600-700 trout, opposed to 300. You know what I mean? Different ways like that. But I always consider, everyone always used to talk about how crazy and stuff the weather was up there and them boats. But I mean, we do most of our work by manually, like by ourselves, like by humanly doing it, right? And plus our boats are only 40, 50 feet long opposed to 100 and 140. So I say we're doing the same weather, same shit.
What kind of team do you want to have on your boat?
Someone that's smart, strong, and respects what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, not just some guy that's out there trying to make a check and dangerous, and everybody else is like just
Like a
kinda
team player?
Yeah, exactly, team player.
Now, does a team player mean like sort of? In my opinion, some of the best team players I've had have an intimate knowledge of the system around them, and so they're easily able to fill in the gaps. If there's something missing, they sort of play the white blood cell role. As soon as they spot something, boom, let's fix it.
Oh,
It doesn't matter.
absolutely.
Sometimes it doesn't matter whose job it is. Some businesses they're like, oh, that's not your job. That's this other person's job.
Yeah, no, the core the boats I usually fish on are like got some core guys on there. Like if something's going on, you can't get to it because you're dealing with something else. You don't even have to look over; it's already happening. You know?
Right.
That's what you call a good crew, good team player.
And now with that, it also seems like maybe it has a little bit to do with chemistry between your teammates.
Yeah, for sure. I fished with one guy. I knew him quite a few years. Never fished with him all ever. Fished with him one season. It's like I fished with him for 15 years.
Yeah, how do you guys build the chemistry? Like, is there a team building process? Do you have to go for like the boys are going out for beers and chicken wings on your off days?
Most part for fishing, show the fuck up, and if you don't know what's going on, keep trying, and don't quit. That's the biggest part about like getting together, and then and as you get better, if you're already in with a good crew, like
The way that works is it's like basically going into the frying pan. Because, for example, that's my experience. I'm not a full-time fisherman like my brother, and so I've fished here and there, but never as my main source of income. So when I've been asked to go, I'm not 100% versed in all the ways of doing things. But you just gotta watch and pay attention and be quick on your feet and quick to learn and do what you've been asked to do.
Right.
Or the captain's going to curse you, verbally abuse you, verbally curse you,
and I will too.
and that's not because he's really an a-hole. It's because it's just about, hey boy, you got to smarten up, pay attention, get this shit done, because not only can you kill yourself, but you kill us.
Right. Yep. That's a
Yeah.
big thing.
Yeah.
Well said.
Can you fire somebody right on the spot? Like, let's say somebody's underperforming out on sea.
It usually happens if you're not, you get a few chances, especially if you're new or something, and you get in and captain tells you, man, you got to pick it up. Like he won't tell you a lot of good respectful captains, he'll tell you to pick it up or whatever.
You get a few
but
chances to change.
You'll just come in one day and he'll tell you you're done and you won't get a phone call. But most times he'll just tell you you're done.
It's not like walk the plank.
No,
you're
no,
off.
no. Some days I wish it was like that with some of them guys.
What do you guys ever get tired of fishing? Like some people rod fish. Do you guys ever take up the hobby? I know you're professional fishers. Is hobby fishing too beneath?
I do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of rod? Like, do you do the fly fishing or the
just
the
a
other
normal fishing rod, and I prefer to fish for mackerel.
What's that?
It's a oily fish. It's high in omega fatty acids, anti-carcinogenic, very healthy for you.
You eat it for the health?
Yeah, and that's the right reason I do it, because it ties into my whole survival aspects and living not just holistically but independently.
Right.
So, for example, if I can go, and my wife and I actually quite often do this in the summer, we go and catch off the wharf, catch copious amounts of fish. We take it home. I make a primitive fire. We fry it over with a cast iron frying pan, and not only and indulge in some wine. Not only are we feeding ourselves freely, but to that in a restaurant, you're looking at a $60-$70 meal.
Oh yeah, and people are always happy to spend that. They're like, yo, I got some good food.
Yeah, it's organic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I never used to do a whole lot, but Denny, he started fishing off the wharves and different things, so I started getting into it, and it's pretty fun actually.
How do you guys have, like, what kind of equipment do you have? Do you have what do you call those, the waders? That you walk into the ocean a little bit?
Well, for me, when you say that, I just see somebody walking in a lobster pound up in the tank so far that they got to wear them and shift crates around. But I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I think for the most part, it's casting off breakwaters and chunks of land into the ocean where you know there might be a little fish school.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Do you guys have a pier out in Nova Scotia that people can go fish off of?
Yeah, there's well, not so much piers, just wharves.
Wharves.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay, so in BC, man, I miss the pier that we have back there. You can go get ice cream,
Oh, nice.
and they also you can rent some fishing rods, but you guys don't have those in Nova
Well,
Scotia.
the thing is, the small fishing communities are so small. Besides, like some of them, like there's some in Halifax and different areas, but they're so small. Like if you go up off the wharf or whatever, there's usually like a fast food place, like you know, deep fried seafood stuff going on, ice cream places, right? You don't have to go too far,
Heck yeah.
right?
What are some of the most significant changes that you've witnessed in the fishing techniques over the years?
Size and the way traps are built, and also the size of the boats and the equipment that goes on them is just like when I first started fishing, I was 13, and it was still like the basic. You put the rope through through this roller. It went down what they call a hauler, and that started hauling it up. But now they got like, I'll just name off some things: pole masters, rope hooks, like, you know, all kinds of these other tools that makes things easier, like a pole master boom, another boom off your, what they call another pole master off your boom, that just like, so there's basically no really pulling and tugging no more. You click on a couple things, they pull it up, you cut.
It's efficient.
Yeah, it's definitely efficient.
They've
Like,
ironed out all the kinks, eh?
I think I can go another 20 years because of it.
That's all. That's what it's about, man. I sort of like, obviously, fishermen are one of the hardest working fields there is, and maybe that's why they've made progress. Is because they're willing to put in the work.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of people out there, and also at the same time, I wonder if so across a lot of corporations, there's the philosophy of, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about war, but war bleeds into other professions. In war, there's 80 out of 100 people, 80 are just targets.
Right.
10 do the real fighting, and there's usually one warrior. But it seems like with the fishermen, that doesn't apply. It's usually all warriors.
Yeah, you gotta be really. They'll thin it out quick if you're not.
Yeah, that's good. I wish more places.
A lot of troubles I've been in my life, like whether it be in trouble with someone coming after me or whatever the reason is, or whatever I've been gone through, I always relate back to like, man, I've been out fishing, taking seas in the face, cold weather, traps hitting me, things blowing around, possible sinking ship. I can handle this. I can handle anything.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys know any myths about fishermen that you would like to debunk?
Jeez, I don't like any of the old myths. The hatch cover upside down means your boat will flip over.
What's that? What? I've never heard of this.
Yeah, that's an old one where I come from. Well, it's well known around Atlantic anyway.
What's the latch?
The hatch, like if your hatch covers, there's these like holes in the deck of the boat, and they got like these doors on them. And then if you take them off and one happens to like catch wind and flip upside down, the captain freaks out because he thinks his boat's gonna roll over. You know, it's
Right.
just crazy stuff. No saying 13.
I got another one.
Yeah.
Whistling.
Yeah, whistling's not allowed. You know, you can hear the whistle of the wind.
Whistling. If you whistle on a boat with an old sea captain,
Yeah.
not so much the modern guys, but some of the ones my brothers work for, and one I worked for, an old prick called Harold Graham. If you whistle on the boat, they think it's going to bring the wind. And the wind, as you know, can be a detriment to your well-being.
We are going to talk a little bit about pirates in a little bit, but one of the this kind of leads into the pirate section is Pirates of the Caribbean. I think the opening scene is a little girl whistling, and it's like misty out or foggy. And right after, the wind doesn't pick up, but she does encounter some dangerous stuff. But I'm wondering if the whistling was sort of a theme in that introduction of the movie.
Oh, that would have been 100%. That would have been a throw out to people who, you know, are aware of that kind of thing. You know, I'm pretty sure, because the whistling on a vessel or anywhere around a vessel is you know, sacrilegious. And one more thing before one more is I don't know where this come from, but you're not supposed to say the word pig.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know where that came
The
from.
pig
either.
has nothing to do with boats or the sea. But if you say pig, you're considered damned.
Yeah, especially
May
the
even
old
get
guys.
contemplated to be fired.
What is pig? Is that like leather?
I don't know.
Interesting.
It's one of those mysterious things that maybe the original
Some
meaning might have been forgotten.
Some
Right.
people don't even allow bacon or any type of pig on their boat. Like,
best
mostly the
kind.
old days. Mostly
Yeah.
the old days, not so much the new guys.
I love bacon. Oh, I'd be so upset if I couldn't have it.
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
Comparing the skills and tools of modern fishermen with those of historical pirates, how do you think a confrontation between the two groups might unfold?
Well, I've told you, I've been here before and talked about piracy, and I told you that the pirates of old just transitioned to the fishermen of today, and so they're very much the same people. And in the past, when the pirates existed, some of the fishermen were asked to be pirates. And some of the seafaring military men, Navy men, were asked to be pirates, or if their boat was captured, commanded to be pirates. And if you could either say yes, which you would, or no, and you'd be killed. So these things overlap.
Right.
Yeah, and then the day of the pirates, they're fully armed. They got their cannons, they got their cutlasses, they got their one-shot pistol.
Do modern time fishermen carry anything?
Not knowingly or obviously.
Yeah, correct, right there.
But do they? Who knows? They are not the predecessors. They are the whatever the word is afterward effective pirates.
Right. What astonishes me, I guess we still do have pirates to this day, like the Haiti pirates.
Well, they're
Somalian.
Somali, yeah, there we go.
It's not just in Mali. It's everywhere where there's a socioeconomic problem or conditioning. In fact, piracy can extend to different things. For example, me and my brothers have been lobster poachers for years.
What does that mean?
Well, you go out and you set traps for lobsters, and you catch them. You make thousands of dollars, and it's all illegally and done in the night.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Then you're back home before the sun comes up.
How would you sell it? Like do the people that buy it
Under the table.
and are they supposed to be looking for like that for some reason like it seems
In fact, we plan to do it this year.
All right, so let's talk about like how would if somebody was interested in following your footsteps, what sort of connections would they have to establish before they can do that? Do you have to know the people buying or the market?
Well, he can answer to that, but first thing you need to be is you have to geographically live where that you can even dream about doing that.
Right.
If you're in the prairies, you're not going to do that. If you're in
95% of the world is
you're not going to do that.
right.
So, and it relates to modern day piracy, what you said, because the modern day pirates are in places where you and I are not,
Right.
or where we don't need to be.
Right.
Because of socioeconomic conditions. They're on the coastal outports, like in the broken down place of Somalia, or the outskirts of Haiti, or other Caribbean places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're on an island, and we can do that, and we plan on doing that. But far as who buys, like my brother, he might be able to answer to that without revealing too much information.
I can't.
No, you can't. So that's how it works.
Yeah. You guys are real businessmen. We all appreciate that. If you guys were a pirate captain, what unique name would you choose for your ship?
You're better with names than I am.
Well, that I can only speak to my study of piracy and antiquity, and that sometimes revolved around the particular person's proclivities, and their and what who they were and what they were. Like for example, Blackbeard's ship. Blackbeard's a famous pirate.
Yeah.
His ship was named the Whydah. Why is it the Whydah? I don't know. Blackbeard and Whydah, for me, even though I've studied piracy, I don't know that connection, why it's the Whydah.
Right. So sometimes it's not the name that's cool. It's the name that's associated with
The captain. Yeah.
Ah.
No, for example, that's great because if
Yeah.
you said Whydah, then people would be quaking their boots because they know fucking Blackbeard's coming.
If you could choose if you could recruit any member from the Pirates of the Caribbean, who would you want to join your fishing crew?
Obviously, we would take one, Johnny Depp,
Hell yeah.
and two, we'd take the winch,
Which one's the winch?
the girl. From
Yeah.
the-
Oh,
And you know, I mean, we'll leave that to the audience's imagination.
How would you react if you found out that one of the legendary ships from the Pirates of the Caribbean was buried under Nova Scotia's waters?
I try to get right.
Yeah.
Well, see, Nova Scotia, I'm a follower of and probably some of your audiences, the Americans are anyway, the show Oak Island.
Mm-hmm.
To give some background information, Oak Island is a little small island, maybe a mile long by a half mile wide, on the south shore of Nova Scotia. And it was made famous by a Reader's Digest article from many moons ago about this lore that two boys saw a light, and they went over there, rode over there. The light was since extinguished, and then they saw something hanging from a tree, and so they started digging around that area, and they went down a number of feet, and they found a stone slab, and they kept digging, and they found some
And why would they find anything on this island? Like, this island isn't inhabited by anyone, is it?
No. Well, it is now.
Oh, it is. Oh,
A
really?
couple families lived there.
Oh, okay, all right. But at the time,
No, nothing.
Interesting.
Nothing.
and why would there be slabs laid out on this non-inhabited island?
Well, because this is where it comes in this pirate lore. Because they're digging down and they come to a slab, and then a slab of some kind of rock, and then they dig down a little further, and they found a bed of coconut fibers, and they dig down a little further, and they found another slab with particular writings on it that has since been lost to history. And this is called, anecdotally, the money pit. And searchers have been looking forever, like real people
And then what
spending
happened
real money.
there at some point when they were digging? Do you remember what happened to that slab?
Oh well, the tradition is the lore is and it is quite it's quite accurate to today, is that the fucking tunnel fills in with water from the sea.
Yep. And then now it's all of a sudden impossible.
No, it's not impossible, because as you know, and some other people know, there's this TV show called Oak Island, and there's these people, these two rich brothers from America bought most of the island,
Yeah.
and they have the rights for it, and for the last 10 years they've been looking for the treasure, and so now they're digging down. They've reinforced the walls, and they're in that particular area, and they're trying to cut off the source of the seawater coming in and different things. And so, I mean, there's a hell of a lot of interest in what's going on there. Now, is there treasure there? I don't know. But I've been there, and I can tell you that the island has some lore to it, has some mystique to it. I've sailed around it on a tour boat, and I've been on it. It's a little monument over there to 6 people have lost their lives looking for the treasure. And the island has a little bit of mystique and lore. Like I'm not bullshitting, but you can feel something about that place. So
Are there booby traps?
well, that's the idea. The booby traps are in the money pit. But whoever dug that, and if you were part of digging that, you would have lost your life there, because no pirate in their mind would allow you to dig a hole for them and deposit treasure and then take you back to the boat. You would have been unknowingly executed and thrown in the hole.
Mm.
And the captain himself would have went back to the boat.
Right.
Therein lies a lot of things. about piracy and pirate wars, like buried treasure. One, they didn't bury treasure too much. One famous pirate that buried his treasure was Captain Kidd. He was known to bury treasure.
But why would he bury? That's a good question.
Because there's no bank.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you got tons of coins you've just raided from a ship. And what are you going to do with it?
Right.
Take it to where?
Yeah,
the
and they get robbed.
whorehouse?
Yeah, you
Some
can't spend
did.
it all.
Yeah, some did. So you got to hide it. You do
Right.
have to hide it. And there are ways of doing that, but one of the traditional ways was burying it. You know?
That's smart.
But that was actually made famous by the writer of what's that? You know, Ryan, what's that called, that book about treasure? Treasure Island.
Yeah.
What? What?
Treasure Island.
What
Robert Louis Stevenson
What happens in
was
Treasure
the
Island?
was author. He made famous concept that pirates get their treasure and they bury it, and then there's a treasure map, and then people go and find it. That's a lot of romanticism. It might have been 25% accurate about the past, but most people, most pirates, there was transactions that occurred where they could unload that and transferred into different types of wealth. And in fact, you know, because of the times, people couldn't, there's no bank account. So what you would do is you invest in jewelry, they would invest in real estate, they would invest in boats and things of that nature. And some of the poor pirates would actually...
You forgot the horse.
Well, a lot of people would spend their money in the brothels over rum and horse. I mean, I don't want to say horse, but I mean women
Yeah.
of the night.
Yeah.
And then also they would turn their money, their share into jewelry, and they would actually wear it. That's why you've traditionally, when you see pirates, they're like, got some rings on, they got some earrings on. It's not so much for the decoration. They got nowhere to put that stash. So they're wearing it. You're wearing your money.
Wow. Okay, so
Never
we
thought of that. eh?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I really like that idea a lot because like right now the rappers that love their jewelry, I don't think they're doing it for wearing, like they obviously have somewhere to put it. They got banks these days, but they're still liking to load up on jewelry for some reason.
Well, jewelry denotes wealth.
Yeah.
Wealth denotes capacity. And those things open doors. For example, when I was down in the Dominican Republic, a traditional pirate haven, but it wasn't called the Dominican Republic, it was called the Isla de Hispaniola, the island of Hispaniola, transversing different places and stuff. Because I was a white tourist with my Dominican woman, I was able to, most people had to cross over a certain land area to get to this private beach. I walked through a condo for sale, a whole condominium. I walked through that for sale based on who I was and my skin color. Because they assumed that I was a rich white guy and I would buy a condo. So I walked my way through a place to get to another place. And that is the same thing with piracy and money.
How do you think if the Pirates of the Caribbean crew were searching for gold or the treasure on Oak Island, how do you think they would fare?
Well, first of all, they would slaughter anybody who they needed to slaughter. And then after that, they would take hostage to people who might know something, and they would torture them for the information. And you'd squeal like a pig because the torturing methods of the pirates were brutal at the end of the day. However, there are some captains who were Navy captains in the past who turned pirates. And even though because they turned pirates, they kept their Christian way of being and they kept their moral and ethical compass per se. Yes, they went against the crown, but when they took over other ships and whatnot, they were lenient on the people they took over. So they would often say, you know, you can join us, buddy. It's in your good interest to join us, buddy. you know, and whatnot. And so here's something that walk the plank, that was almost non-existent. That's a thing made up by Disney.
Terrifying.
There's no walk the plank.
They know how to invoke the fear.
Yeah, there's no, but there wasn't a walk the plank to begin with. There's
Right.
like, we're gonna blow a hole in your fucking forehead.
Or just try to
But
hold it.
that does waste a bullet, though, doesn't?
It does, but I mean, the walk the plank was almost non-existent. I can't,
Right,
in all my studies of the ancient, not ancient, but I mean antiquity, piracy.
Right.
There's very little information about walking the plank.
Yeah, they're efficient. They're like, we want you dead. We're gonna guarantee your
Well, they
death.
throw you overboard,
Right.
Yeah.
hands tied, hands bound, legs bound,
Oh.
throw you overboard.
Right.
You know, or just simply stab you and throw you overboard.
I guess I do want to keep going with like some of the dangerous stuff, but I just want to take a step back to some of the whistling. Have you heard any whistling? I've seen some TikTok videos of mermaids whistling, and even shouting from the waters. Like sometimes they'll see like little things in the water, and whistling. And there was this one guy who was like, where like they was like trying to capture it, and it would even scream like, "Come here," or like I forget what I was trying to say, but like it seemed like it was trying to trick him to get into the water, and it was very quick. Boom, boom. Have you guys ever experienced anything mystical out on the waters?
I've experienced quite a bit, but nothing like that. More seeing great big whales looking at me with their human-like eyeball,
Okay, so
Yeah.
all right.
and like baby like breaching beside me while we were doing that business Denny was talking about earlier.
Right.
Like
Do you think
I've gone out out to sea in a 12-foot aluminum boat with, you know, the weather, you know, there ain't much weather, but the weather in the bunt that we were in, I pretty much thought we were going to die. And at that point, everything went completely quiet, and I could see it's almost like I could see something, but I could more feel or hear souls that I think might have died on the same, you know, drowned in the same area, caught there, whatever.
Yep.
But in that same moment, after it felt like a long time, but my brother's I could hear my younger brother, Travis, hollering, "Grab the fucking oars, man, we're gonna fucking drown, grab the oars," because I had to hold the oars with my hands. The oars are these paddle things.
They're not connected?
No, they're in these little locks, lock things where they sit
Think
down
rowboat.
Yeah,
Rowboat,
and
yeah.
they can go. They can.
Yeah, well, they kept falling out, right? And where we were talking about the strongest tides and whatnot, that's where we're at, right?
Right.
And they kept popping out. So every time they'd pop out, we'd lose so much because the tide's pushing us out to the big ocean, right? And we're trying to catch land. So as we're going straight, we're really losing a lot of yardage trying to catch this land because the tide's pushing us out. So long story short, it was a crazy ride. I ended up coming out of that I call it a little daydream, but I'm pretty sure there's something spiritual happening there. And I grabbed the hold of the oars, and we just barely made it at the tip of the other island, because there's another island from where we're from called Long Island.
By the way, they were engaging in modern day piracy.
Yeah, that's why we were fucking caught out there, actually. But long story short, man, I definitely have seen some crazy things out there, and that was by far the most I could say would relate to your story.
I know a little bit of lore about the
Yeah.
mermaid. In
Yeah.
in Spanish, it's called La Sirena. Sirena.
So all right, so we got folklores all over the world that have the same stories. How does that happen? You know?
Aliens.
Yeah. All right. So what happens in what is it, Spain?
Well, I'm just saying in the Dominican Republic, which is in the Caribbean, they have their Spanish name La Sirena is the mermaid. They actually have a supermarket. The Walmart's called La Sirena.
Do they have
La Sirena.
Is it sort of the same folklore as over here? Like there's these.
Well, the idea is, and it's always has been, is there's these beautiful women that are not clad with on their tops, you know, their breasts are out, and they're there, and they holler to the fishermen, whether it's a whistle or a, "Hey, come over here." And guess what? Isn't that an anecdote for older men today in places of prostitution.
Yeah.
Hey, come over here.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. I've seen it unfold in Latin America. I've seen that unfold 1,000 times with women of the night doing that a whistle or a glance or hey, come over here.
But what
And
would the
then-
mermaid want? Would they have the same interest as a streetwalker? They want money from the pirates?
Well, at the end of the day, they want something, but it ends in death.
Right.
You never walk out of the mermaid's lair with your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's tons of things that are like that. Like
And in modernity, you don't walk out of the worker of the night with your money,
right.
right?
Yeah.
You lose something,
Yeah.
and you might lose a piece of yourself
Is
along the way.
is there so
That's well put, bro. Thanks, man. That's well put.
do you think a fisherman
Of that area. I know. I've been there with you.
do you think how do you think a mermaid was created? Do you think there was a fish out there that a fisherman got a little bit lonely?
I don't know, but I gotta tell you a funny thing.
I like to think that, eh?
The other day I saw a meme a video. It was these rich Chinese people, and this Chinese woman was overweight, and she was in a pool, and these poor people they're working for her went underwater and held their breath and held her up so there could be a picture taken. And after it was all doctored, it looked like she was a mermaid calling for her husband. But reality, there's just some poor guy underneath holding up this obese woman. So that has something to do with the whole mermaid thing.
Right, it
It's
can be
all
just
it's
a
all
story twisted.
deception and illusion.
Right. Over time, story to story, from person to person, those factors can get longer and longer and
Disney had to make her pretty, though, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
By the way, disclosure.
Yep.
I'll be gone after this interview loads.
Yeah, all right, so let's talk about that. That the what do you look for? What was your experience? What drawed you up to Nunavut? What was your main reason for leaving your beautiful home in Nova Scotia to come up here?
Well, mine's short and sweet. I had a family in the Caribbean. I brought them to Canada. Then I was employed in Manitoba, and I decided we didn't want to be there anymore because it was a reserve that we weren't happy to be in. So we went back to live with my family. So I wanted to introduce my wife to my family. And then we soon ran out of money, and I'm like, we have to go somewhere else. And I got an interview in Nunavut, and so I didn't know much about Nunavut, but I come up here, and then I didn't want to necessarily stay here, but I stayed here to grow my son, and I just every day I went to work. I told myself, you have to stay here. We're gonna stay here, and that's what we did. We stayed here for years and years and years, and then after COVID hit, we left. I thought forever, but then COVID was over. I was sort of invited back by the administration and come back for a while, and so I did. I've put 2 years in since then, but now I'm done. I'm not done because of anything with Nunavut. I'm done because I want to go back to my homeland and start a new chapter. But for anyone that wants an adventure in life, I advise them to come up to Nunavut. There's great people. The Inuit are very welcoming, and I have nothing but good things to say about Nunavut.
I'm gonna cut this part out. Perfect. That was a good pause there. I'm gonna cut that back in. But the next question is gonna be, what traditions in Nova Scotia do you cherish the most? I'm gonna go pop the next bottle.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a leak.
Well, one of the traditions in Nova Scotia that I cherish the most is something called kitchen parties. Kitchen parties is based on a lot of people getting together, usually sometimes playing a guitar or spoons, like spoons, they're slapping on their knees. They can make a rhythm, and sometimes it's progressed to just modern music in your kitchen. But the idea is you're in your kitchen and you're having a little party. You don't need to go to a discotheque. You don't need to go to a Legion. You don't need to go to, anywhere where it's costing you to go for money, because the Maritimers know something called the kitchen party. And even where I go, no matter where I go, I'm well traveled. I've gone to Dominican Republic. I've lived there. I've gone to Japan. I've lived there for a bit. I've gone to Nunavut. I've lived here for a bit. And anywhere I go, I inundate the kitchen party. I make a kitchen party wherever I go, and I see it having an effect, because after I spend a certain amount of time with people, if I go to their house and they're having a party, I recognize that we're really congregated in the kitchen. So they're also having the kitchen party. So I'd like to say that I'm an ambassador of the kitchen party. Parties in the kitchen.
Is that one of the main ways that the community can come together in times of need?
Of course, that and food. Like in Nova Scotia, when things go sideways, people come together in the kitchen, they have a party, and they play music, and also bring food. And then what I've noticed up here in Nunavut is that people also get together. They don't know the kitchen party thing, but they know the food thing, and they come together. But they have their own, speaking of Nunavut, they have their own kind of quintessential kitchen party, because they have what they call shacks. And a lot of people have buildings outside their house where, so for example, they don't want to have their buddy in their house because of their wife and their son or daughter. They will go out into their shack and have a couple of drinks and talk shit and reminisce about times of old. And that in and of itself is the Nunavut version of a kitchen party.
Do you guys have any Nova Scotia holidays that you celebrate?
Not that I can recall.
Or is it basically just every day? Every day is a celebration.
I know one thing, they really love St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. That's coming up real quick, March 17th. That's this Sunday.
But, no, not necessarily, but Nova Scotians are generally partying every weekend. Not necessarily with alcohol or any kind of drugs. Many people just get together and play music, reminisce, and have fun, and be Nova Scotian. Like, that's sort of a maritime tradition.
Right.
Yeah, one of the big things that a group of people that a vast majority of the people I hang out with, we're hitting the ball field, softball every weekend, and in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick,
In a league, or is this part of like a private?
we got leagues in our own counties, and then we branch off to big tournament plays, like things called like East Coast Championships, Nationals.
Do you have seasons in Nova Scotia like BC? Like we only play softball summertime, kind of spring.
Yeah,
summer?
our usually starts up. We got a tournament April the 20th. Stoked about playing it.
Yeah.
But it starts around the end of April and goes until the big tournaments until October. Usually our last ones it's the Maritimes Championship for different categories, different ages and whatnot. But yeah, every weekend it's stuff like that. And if it isn't that, it can be just some simple out, like driving along, say, fuck, let's turn off this dirt road and see where it takes us. Go hit, you're gonna go, if you're gonna go east or west, you're gonna hit some beach somewhere. Right. So you just keep driving. Like me and a girl, the mother of my children, passed away. Long story short, but we used to drive around. Just drive around anywhere, find these cool places. Ended up finding like little waterfalls.
Are those some of the best times?
Yeah, no alcohol, some marijuana.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the I'm gonna
outdoor fires, cooking over, raw heat. Man, just good times.
Yeah. The homies, man. If you can get a good crew together, it doesn't matter like what you're doing, as long as it's more about quality people than the whatever event.
Well, exactly what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, buddy.
Hey, shout out! You guys.
Yeah, this is all new to me too, right? So
I'm a third-time guest.
Hell yeah. And we're gonna. I've been given the rights to our last podcast, so we're gonna upload pretty quick, so the audience will get to hear.
All
that
about
coming up
piracy?
soon. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That was the inaugural thing, and just want to say a shout out to Ryan for thinking of bringing us over here. Like I never took that lightly. I not only brought my Caribbean wife, I
Hell
brought
yeah.
my Caribbean friend, and and I brought the pirate flag, and so we're the pirate lore and the pirate history was well represented here in the first podcast I made with Ryan.
How would you introduce newcomers to the culture of Nova Scotia? You have a new buddy. New buddy's coming in.
I'd say, man, that's what I told some of my buddies I used to work on the oil fields and stuff with. I said, man, you come to Nova Scotia, you ask for this person or that person. You like just simple, like you ask someone, you seen Curtis Welch around, you where to find Curtis Welch around. Oh, you know Curtis Welch, man? Well, what do you need?
Right.
That's how it is, kind of like I'm talking 90% of the time, even in the cities,
Right.
in the cities, unless you're out in a fucking bad area.
Now, does this have?
No, but here's
Yeah.
here's a counter thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as good to be non-known,
Mm.
because being non-known, you can pick and choose on what you want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, like I don't want to be someone to find me for any reason. If I want to find them and I want to know about them, I can.
Right.
And so in Nova Scotia, sometimes I have many visitors that visit me, but it's only because I vetted them beforehand, not officially, but like, do you have any compatibility with me?
Mm.
Do you want to have a bonfire? Do you want to have some drinks over a bonfire? Do you want to get some illegal lobster and eat it? Do you want to talk nonsense until 1 in the morning?
Well, that's kind of like what I'm saying too. I can kind of relate with the oil field and fishing. You kind of meet the same kind of group of guys, hardworking. You know, if you're not smart, you better be strong, type
Right.
kind of thing, right? And if you're both, you're really fucking light.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same idea, and yeah, I believe that what he said's the same idea. Like,
I think we're saying the same thing, but in different ways.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's sort of two philosophies that you can fall into in life. Like, so for example, and I think both fall into the category of you're trying to find a mate. And so the first category is,
mate?
yeah, to find a mate. Like so for example, the one philosophy is like, you got to be a hard worker. You got to be like, your whole life is about investing in your future. And so some girls will, like, some people take on that burden because they're looking for a mate that they can provide for. But is that the best life for you? Some people will say that, and although they might get the mate that's going to make them happy, some might say that you're better off not chasing the money, chasing the girl. You're better off living a balanced life. You got your homies, you got your fun events. And then that might even attract the perfect mate for you, or you know. So there's two different philosophies that you guys can get into. Is there one that you fall into one more than the other? Are you more disciplined and structured rather than living a balanced life? Or do you try and live a balanced life where it's part discipline, part fun? Or do you try to go the latter?
Well, for the most part of my first beginning of my fishing career, it was like work hard, play hard. I won't lie. You know what I mean? But since I've had a few kids and whatnot, and you know, I've had some turbulation, and you know, I've been on the bottom pit of things. Learning now to be more balanced. It's a much better life.
Yeah. For all the newcomers, try and live balanced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could write a book on unbalanced.
Yeah. That's another thing too, is I wonder.
Everyone could.
So my philosophy in life right now is I try to live in the extremes. So for example, in the morning I'm drinking Red Bull, I'm flying through the day, I'm drinking coffee throughout, and I'm trying to get as much work done as possible. And then after hours, I'm trying to relax as hard as possible. There's not a lot of in between. It's like two extremes, but that seems to be the way. Like, maybe it's just
1 second. I want to go back to the previous question.
Yeah, hit me.
I've lived an unbalanced life. You know, I was.
What does unbalanced look like?
Unbalanced looks like I was married when I was 21. I didn't really know how to treat my wife. She was a good wife, and I treated her meanly, I suppose, sometimes. And she divorced me. And then it caused me mental anguish, and I went to the Dominican Republic in search of another wife. I mean, not many people do, but I feel like it needs. I guess.
How old were you at this point?
34.
And
No, 29.
And so part of the thing that the advice I've been given is like you won't find love until you're looking for it.
No, I went there looking for it.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, I I spent a lot of time with a lot of people looking for the right people.
Yep. Sometimes you got to trial and errors.
Yeah, and then I did find the one, and but a lot of things happened before that one, and I wouldn't advise the route I took. And not only that, but it's hard to get people from foreign countries into this country.
Mm.
That's another thing. And when you have babies with them, it becomes even more complicated. And so, anyways, at the end of the day,
How long did it take for your wife to get over here?
well,
Was it a struggle?
the reality is that I always took a lot of pictures. We took a lot of pictures, and what people don't realize is that when you're in another country falling in love with another person, and those person can't go, those people cannot come to Canada easily.
Mm.
If you're not documenting shit, you are fucking yourself up.
Like, do you think?
We documented shit because we didn't know we were documenting shit.
Mm.
We're taking pictures because
Having a
we're
good time.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I happen to have all that, and I filled out the documents myself, which requires usually a lawyer. I filled it out myself, 90% drunk, because I had an alcohol problem,
Yeah.
and
And probably cheap in
well, not only did I fill it out myself drunk, but it was approved in record time. It was approved so fast that I wasn't sober enough to go find her. But I went anyway, and brought him up. But the short story is,
Well, you've always been versatile, man. You could be like a 70 students like you was, and then on the deans of a university. I always found that like if you need to get it done, like you can get it done.
Yeah, he's got some drive in him. Eh?
Maybe not fishing.
No, not fishing. But the short story is that there's a woman that you love, and there's a son that you made involved. There's some fucking catalyst there. But the short story is, I would not advise any Canadian to go and look for love in a country that the government does not approve of.
What about China? Is China allowed in Canada?
I don't think so easily, but
Because I've heard some great things about China.
more easily than listen.
Yeah.
The Canadian government is prejudiced
Right.
against
Yeah.
the Caribbean because it's largely impoverished.
Shoot.
Yeah. So if you're going to look for love in the Caribbean or Russia, you're a fool.
One of the things I've been thinking about is going over to China to teach for a couple of years. I mean, I heard Chinese women or I guess Asian women love the white guys.
Yeah, we have bigger bingas.
Yeah.
I heard they love the black guys more. You're probably gonna scratch that out, aren't you?
No, second place is just fine.
Yeah, I'll take second.
You whore.
How has your work influenced your understanding of nature and the environment?
Well,
So the whales. Let's go back to the whales.
I'll take that question first.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
more.
I was when I was just graduated high school. I wanted to go to BC with a friend, drive across.
Yeah.
And then we're hired at a fish plant to make some money. And I only worked there about 2 or 3 days, and someone quit on a whale watching vessel. And then the people come to me and say, "Denny, we want you to come work for us." And so I did. I worked for them for several years. And basically my job was to represent the island and be an island ambassador on the boat. So some people had to talk about the whales and all the scientific aspects. My job was to talk about myself and the island which I come from.
Do you have to know any of the terminology?
Anecdotally.
Yeah.
I learned it because
Experience?
it made my job better, but I didn't need to.
Right.
Like the boss,
I mean, knowing the name of the whales must have been.
No, the boss of the organization, he said, all I want you to do is talk with the people. Because I'm from the island. I knew how to talk, and I knew how to talk about the island.
Right.
The other people, he hired knew about the scientific aspects of the whales. And so I had a good life for a long time. I met an ambassador from Europe. I've been invited by millionaires to Boston real estates and Massachusetts and different things because
You ever go?
I never fucking went.
Why?
Never went.
What
Well,
was your-
because I was a small town boy with I didn't have the. That was before I had a bigger vision.
Shoot.
And one time,
Would you go these days if somebody? If
of
somebody-
course,
Yeah.
of course,
Right away.
I'd be there with you.
One time, a rich man from Naples, Florida, who owned a fishing fleet
Yeah.
for tourists, was on a whale watch boat. He looked at my hands and he saw there was calluses on my hands. He's like, "Listen, buddy, there's nobody in Florida who has calluses on their hands because all their daddies are rich. All their daddies are rich and they don't have no calluses." And so he wanted me to go down and live illegally in Florida, in Naples, Florida, which is the southern point of Florida, on his boat freely and pay me American money to be a guide with the idea of eventually take over and captain the boat. And I told him I would, but at the end of the day, my girlfriend at the time, which I was in love with, just got accepted to college and was torn, and I went with her, and I didn't go.
Dang it. Okay, so message to the future bros. You have a partner who says, don't go for this incredible opportunity. What should they do?
Actually, she didn't say don't go.
Ah.
My
Dang it.
heart did,
Oh, okay.
which is harder to fight against.
Right. You know, obviously, you got to listen to your heart. You
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not together today, but sometimes I think
that's an
my
interesting
world
question.
experience would have been better if I went to Naples, Florida.
All right, so the next guy that's in your shoes, his heart's saying don't go because you're in love with this girl. Let's cut it off. Let's say make sure like they're not mature or like they're not above like let's say like 25. 25 and
I
under.
was gonna say if they're young, I'd say
Yeah.
you're definitely going.
Yeah, you got to don't ignore
ya. I don't
ignore
care
your
what
feelings.
girl's on the other end. See you later.
No, I listen. I think about it to this day, so I think that my
No
advice would be to go,
Yeah.
because I don't think about the girl today,
Yeah.
but I think about the lost opportunity today.
Right.
And that's why I'm mentioning it,
Right.
because I think about it.
What does the concept of home mean to you as someone who spends much time at sea?
I'll relate to that, not spending too much time at sea, but I'm in Nunavut. I've been in Nunavut for a long time, and I want to go home. Home draws me. One is my grandmother's there, who raised me, and I love her dearly. And not only that, but my mom is not far away. My brothers lives close by, and friends I know from childhood. And for me, after being away from that place, to be honest, like I never wanted to be in that place. One time we went back there and I was walking the roads and I felt humiliated that I was walking the roads. I'm here in this fucking place I should not be in. But as I've got older, and I've always heard that anecdote, as you get older, as I've got older, I want to be back in that place.
Do you have buddies still back there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is there.
the OGs.
Yeah, I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be there when the pop glitch comes. I want to be there when the end of the world comes. I want to be there when my death comes. And I know that, so I know I want to be there.
Well, getting back to the first question, like when I'm at sea, I really think the sea is my second home almost. I've been there since I've been like 13 on the water, been like doing other things around the water since I've been like 8 years old. So for me, it's just a matter of time where I have kids now is the biggest thing is like, you know, a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by. It's like, you know, you want to get back. They're the main reasons why I want to get back other than I'm like, fuck, man, I'm tired of working.
How old are your kids?
I got a 17-year-old, an 8-year-old. I got a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. And
I got right down the line. I got 5 kids.
holy smokes, man! You got your hands full, eh?
Yeah.
What's that like? All right, so you got. So,
They're missing me right now.
Are they?
actually,
Yeah. I bet. We've become recent Facebook friends, and I've seen a concept all the Welches are like, we miss you, man. We miss you. We miss you.
Yeah.
You got tons of support down there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Are you excited to go back home? When are you taking off?
I'm leaving tomorrow at 9:30.
Yeah, and how long were you here in Arvia for?
Today's my 45th day.
What has your experience been like in Arvia?
First and foremost, the people I've met reminds me of like growing up in the 80s, like really just down to earth, looking to help you out. You know, like really, just a really good community of people looking out, people making sure you're all right. You know. And I went to church here actually. It was pretty cool myself.
No way.
Yeah. It was,
Are you religious?
yeah, I believe in Jesus. And
Which
I'm not sure.
Like, are you spiritual or religion?
I'm more I'm more like
Yeah?
First Testament.
Yeah.
The New Testament, not
Okay.
the Old Testament.
And were you always, or was there something?
No. I used to make fun of the Bible, man. I used to like, you know, I don't even like. I hate to even say it, but like, you used to like say, you know, I like burn the Bible, piss on the Bible, you know, like. And then I kind of was looking for something different in my life, and never really realized that I met a woman named Ocean, and I was kind of just trying to
Not now.
better my relationship with her, and then like kind of went to church and was like, wow.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, rewrite. I can't.
It's not for now. It's for later.
Okay.
Shit, you guys threw me off when you were doing your sidetrack.
Yeah, sorry.
I had to carry on the whole conversation you guys
Yeah.
Shit.
There's so much happening behind the scenes. I'm sorry, audience. You guys will never know, but we'll continue on.
Yeah,
as
no worries.
Turn that one around, man.
Can you share a moment that significantly changed your perspective on life?
I can.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with here. LSD.
Okay, how did that? So there's lots of new studies happening. They don't think they've confirmed very much, like worldwide, globally, but they're on the right track to figuring out.
What I
certain
want to
things.
say is I had a couple good experiences on LSD.
Yep.
And then one time, me and my brother and another guy who my best friend, one of my best friends, and we did a lot of LSD from BC. The guy kept saying, well, you know, you already took a little bit. And we say, nah, we need more. We don't feel nothing.
That was my problem.
Yeah.
My fault.
So we kept taking more and more and more.
Oh no!
And then for me, like I had to go on a whale watching trip the next day as a guide, and that was always at the forefront of my frontal lobe.
How many hours did you have until you had to go?
About 8.
Wow. Okay.
8 from when we realized we were high.
Yeah, and then I realized, and then I saw the universe opened up, and then I was like, I had a real big trip, which was good. But then I was like, holy fuck, I got to go on the whale watch trip with these fucking wackos tomorrow with tourists and stuff. And then it created a panic attack anxiety in my mind. Actually, and to be honest, that I still suffer with today.
Really, from the LSD?
Yeah. So, like, for example, if I smoke a certain bong at certain people's houses, you know.
I don't know who that would be.
That can fucking reactivate.
Right. Holy smokes.
And it's from the LSD.
At the end of my buzz, when he went that way, I went to my roots. I went to a fishing boat and started doing stuff around there.
Yeah, that's different because he can be free, but I had to go and be responsible and with tourists and the captain.
I would have quit. I would have quit. Straight up quit and done.
See ya.
Call me at another time.
Basically, what happened was the LSD took over my brain.
Yeah.
And then, which was good. And then I realized I had to be, once some part of my brain realized I had to be somewhere, and that started fighting the LSD, and then it became a cataclysmic event, which I still suffer from today.
Right.
And I will not take LSD today. I will not say today that this is a segue. I don't know. We're off topic here, but I would tell you your listeners today.
Don't do it.
You do not need to take weed
because
weed can induce LSD events, and you do not need to take LSD.
Right.
If anything, I've come to the conclusion that it's better to microdose mushrooms.
That was my next question. Is so like they've been doing a little bit of
I
studies.
haven't, but I'm leaning that way.
Yeah.
I actually microdosed for anger issues a few years back. It worked great.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. What when you microdose, what kind of benefits did you see, or like what was the experience like?
Well,
Did you notice like a?
I didn't notice anything. Mostly like things my woman at the time would write down that I wasn't doing when I usually was doing. Like certain things, like waiting for someone to get in the vehicle wasn't pissing me the fuck off all of a sudden.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If somebody was angry at you beforehand, were you quick to like? Were you ever a fighter, a physical, or like verbal?
He's a fighter.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is like back then, according to what the issue was, but just typical little bullshit. Like I'd just rather walk away and deal with the catastrophe of just testosterone bullshit.
Sometimes with dudes, like sometimes we can just hit each other real quick, and then we're best friends right after.
Oh, yeah, that's what I call real good guys.
Yeah.
But the only problem is when my brother hits someone,
Yeah.
they're knocked out. So they don't have the decision to say if he still likes him.
we just say it. He likes them. We're good now. Walk away.
In fact, here's the thing. He
Yeah.
might not even know.
Yeah.
When I train martial arts,
Yeah.
and I imagine people attacking me,
Yeah.
and I do my moves,
Yeah.
I imagine him attacking me.
Really?
I've told that to my sensei before.
And
I
what did your
think you
sensei
told me
say?
He
Good idea?
He understands because he knows him.
Yeah. Man.
No,
Okay.
because you take the baddest person you can think of, and you
Yeah.
imagine them swinging and doing shit, and you gotta figure out a way to defend an offense against that.
Yeah. Emotions do have a role in your physical ability. Like, first of all, you can't get distracted. If you're emotionally sad, it's gonna affect. If you're emotionally like angered, it's gonna enhance. Like, so for example, I had the same philosophy. Like, I was trying to be a kicker for football. Like, it was a desired position. Nah, there's a QB. On my wall, I have Patrick Mahomes giving the. I don't even know.
And he's wearing a ring.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh
he's
man.
wearing the fucking ring.
Yeah, I got 2 rings up there. Those are from my provincial championships.
Okay, I see them up there, yeah.
And some of the teams I played for were so freaking awesome and great brotherhood. But
That's one thing you get from a team, eh? One, like, you get your core guys that are on your team
Yeah,
that
but
don't leave.
oh yeah.
Good. Like,
That's
the
half the
guys I
battle.
play ball with and sports with are like, we're like a family over like 6-7 months of the year. We don't see each other for a few,
Yeah.
but we're right back
go
there.
to
If I need help, one day I was caught up in out of town, like 400 kilometers from where my town is. I lost my bank card. I knew one of my buddies that played ball was there. I called him up. I was like, man, I need like $400. Can you swing it to me? Lost my bank card. He met me at my hotel in a half hour.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If you guys if a crew has the same goal and you're all working towards the same goal, some of the times, like, so for example, as soon as I graduated high school, I started playing for a community team. And the community team was brand new to me. So in high school we played NFL rules, and then in the community league we were playing CFL rules. It was now you're now in Canadian league. You're training to go to the CFL, and so the community league it wasn't recruiting. It was sort of just like if you've graduated, you could play on this team.
Right.
And so with this team, the quarterback called everyone on the team. And I was from a different city at the time. I was moving towards the city to go to university. And the quarterback called me, and he said, hey, man, we got 10 guys, offensive crew. And we were a small team. We had just enough players to basically play. But the quarterback called me and said, we're meeting every Monday off season to throw the ball around, just to get to know each other. It's like, I'm the quarterback. We're gonna get to know your chemistry and all this stuff. And by showing up and putting in the work once a week, we built so much chemistry that other teams didn't have.
Absolutely.
And because of that, like, we knew where each other were on the field at all times. And when the chaos is induced, which is inevitable, it's a game, you're going to have guys rushing you as a quarterback. You're going to have things fall apart. But you know where your teammates are.
Yeah.
And you can, in a pinch, throw it exactly perfect where your team is going to be. And for some reason, man, there's times where I broke my hand. And I told my quarterback, I'm like, do not throw me the ball. And there was times where I have a broken hand, I'm double covered, and he puts it in the perfect spot, and I caught it one-handed. I'm like, I'm like, yo, I don't know how you did that, bro, but like, you know, but by having chemistry, it greatly enhances your team efforts.
Put it this way, man. I've played on some big ball teams that like we've had like every like all-star you could imagine, like in like league softball, like playing softball in different parts of Canada, and we were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I've played on teams that like, you know, we're gonna do all right.
Yeah.
We fucking year one. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I've never come first place in like 3 of the big tournaments I've been playing for years, but I've come second, I've come third, I've come fourth. But knowing the core guys, even when we lose and stuff, we're always got each other's back no matter what, and we're still going.
Yeah.
We're going to a big tournament in Toronto this year. It's called NSA. And that's gonna be like you know, as a kid growing up, you want to play in the MLB, whatever. Like that's gonna be my MLB as an adult now, right? So it's gonna be pretty big, and then we're going all the same crew. I mean, for that tournament, we got to pick up 5 or 6 new guys, but all of us are still there. You know, all the guys, like when I bring, like, you know, a lot of us got kids. Like some of us doesn't have kids. Like if I bring my kids, like. I know that they're looked after from my guys that are taking that game off, you know, and so it can become a real family thing.
Yeah.
For people like me that's really into it.
That's where life is at, it seems like. Like if all the homies could get a cul-de-sac together,
yeah,
that would be a real modern day tribe.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You know? Let's get the barbecues out. The kids are running around, going from one house to the next, just playing with each other. The guys are having a few beers.
Oh, it's one of the key things that, other than playing ball, makes me feel still like I'm like 12 or 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Like hanging out with the guys and the family time and seeing the kids interact and other grown-ups interacting with your kids, and you know that, like, okay, I know he's got my kids. I know he's got my back. You know, you ain't got to fucking worry. And you can enjoy and play ball and still play good without worrying about
Do you hang out with the same guys that you hung out with in high school?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah.
They're
actually,
real
a few of them I do. Some of us are on the same team to this day.
No way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Holy smokes! Do you guys have the same mentality? Like you guys are on the same page.
Oh, absolutely. We travel together.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like, you know, it's like times never change when you're doing that type of thing, right?
I think those are the best ones. If you can leave for a certain amount of time and return, and it's like no time has passed.
That's it, right?
That's your crew.
That's it, right? I even got like guys that we used to play against growing up that play on. We're all them people that we were friends with playing against are still on. We're still doing it now. We're doing it together. You know, we're not playing against each other. We're playing together.
Right.
Like because we took all the like, okay, like there was 3 of us from here, 3 of us from here that was good. We put us all together.
Yeah.
It's been good time.
Yeah.
It makes me feel 20. It definitely makes me feel 20 when I'm 40, going on 42.
Hell yeah. I think that's where the balance comes from. Like
Absolutely.
As much as I want to get famous for, you know, something cool like DJing or like, you know, whatever it is, some people forget, if you're going to be a DJ, first of all, you have to match the crowd's energy for an entire night. So that's going to drain you.
Absolutely.
And you're on the road constantly. And you're by yourself 8 months of the year. Do you get to see your friends? Do you get to live a balanced lifestyle? Like, no, you don't. You might have millions of dollars, but are you living the best life possible?
I don't know. Maybe at the time you might think you are until maybe you reach a certain amount, and then all of a sudden it's like, fuck, I got to do this show, or fuck, I got to do this, because I got a few guys that, you know, have getting in. Nova Scotia's, actually Atlantic Canada's becoming more in the rap game. Like people like, you know, there's people like producing their own little raps and stuff, and I don't know. I just think that I don't know. I kind of was stoned and forgot what you said.
I'm probably going to cut this part out. I got to look for the next question.
I got right stoned and totally, all of a sudden I got thinking about what one of my buddies can't go to California to get his actually rep because he's on parole.
Oh no! What was it? What is he trying to get in Cali?
Well, because you get more publicity. Like,
Oh,
you get
yeah.
to meet some high time guys in California, right?
100%.
And that's as soon as we got onto that, I was like, boom, oh fuck, man, I forgot the fucking question. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But isn't it the case though? If you're rapping, you got issues, you know,
Straight up-
because a lot of times real rappers that aren't rapping for just cash, they're rapping about their life.
Right, and there's part of like the artistic, like if the way you can express yourself does bring some relief.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, if you're living in the hood, if you're going through like poor times, or craziness is happening around you, sometimes all you need to do is tell the world that.
So borracho.
But at the same time, you can't just tell the world. Nobody's interested in hearing your story, unless you make it interesting.
Yeah, there's something
Cody told me.
like, I mean, just for speaking like Eminem,
Right.
he was telling the truth about his own life, which was like about trailer park shit.
Right.
But somehow he got it out there, and people like relate it.
Yep.
Didn't matter where you're from, you're relating to it. So I guess if you're producing something and you can get someone to relate to it,
Right.
I guess that's your key right there.
And part of it too is like, relating to your audience, like keeping your audience in mind. There's so many staff meetings. If I have any staff listening to this, it's not you, okay? But there's so many times in a staff meeting where it's in one ear and out the other.
Absolutely. Did it
You know?
all the time in the oil field and construction business. I was listening,
Yeah.
and somebody was like, man, didn't you listen to what was going on? I was like, man, I can't fucking pay attention to that shit.
Yeah, it's so
Let's
boring.
just do the work.
Yeah, 100%. But if somebody can somehow like know what they're interested in hearing about and structure their speech beforehand.
I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like crazy how that works. Like, the biggest thing for when I was doing construction coming out of fishing was that all the safety protocol.
Yeah.
Like, I almost got
the safety guys.
Yeah, like I almost got canned off one of my first jobs, like working on the SAS power plant, the new one they built a few years. Well, not the new one, but they upgraded it. It's like $700 million the government put into it, whatnot.
Right.
But like I almost got canned like a bunch of times. But the safety person and I got to know each other and our crew quite well, and she was a lady at that.
Wow.
So she was in a rough business, so
and
she liked
quality.
to show her power.
Right. She's
But
going.
She
all
was
in.
realistic.
Yeah.
If you would talk to her, not tell her, fuck,
Sweet.
you know, some stupid shit.
Yeah.
So she realized. I said, you know what? This is what I always used to. I'm a dumb fisherman from Atlantic Canada. You can't expect me to be worrying about this danger.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I would kind of like flirt with her almost. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And
So
those
she would
safety girls,
understand me.
They go hard.
And she's like, well, you best do it this way and do not let me see that happen again, right?
Yeah.
Like, she gave me, that was someone like from Alberta or someone, different areas, she probably would have fucking canned them right away.
Yeah. And,
But the Atlantic
she was-
Canada
she was
person,
around? Like-
she was from Calgary.
Oh, interesting. And she was still okay.
Yeah, because the Atlantic Canada charm, I believe.
Is it important to educate others about the conversation or the conservation through your work in life, like the sea?
Well, for lobstering, it absolutely is a vital part. Like, for instance, a lot of people like to complain about the natives fishing.
Interesting.
It's a fucking problem, right?
Right. Okay. So what did they
It's
allow?
not a problem that the natives are fishing. Okay. Now this is like someone that talks on. I know both sides. I'm friends with both sides. I know how it all works. But
Yeah.
the problem of the native fishing is where most of it's happening is in St. Mary's Bay, Nova Scotia, where billions of lobster come to lay their eggs and, you know, spawn, and the little ones come there because it's a shallow end of water. There's lots of stuff for them to eat there, and the thing is that happens in, like, the season shuts down the end of May, so there's June, July, and August, September, October, that this place is shut down, even most of November. But the natives are able to fish June, July, August, September. And in the months is the most time where they cannot be caught because they're spawning. They're so soft that even like you throw the lobsters back over the ones that are too small. chances are they're not even going to make it. For one, seagulls are going to come down because the seagulls, like, they know by their chemistry makeup of what season it is that they know them lobsters are soft. They grab them, they pick them. That's one issue. The tides are running full, so there's full tides, there's nip tides, tides that run fuller than others. Just for that lobster to be thrown over and get the bottom, more than likely it's going to be falling apart, ripped apart just from the throw over and hitting the water and the tide taking it, you know what I mean? So the big problem with the natives fishing, in my view, and a lot of people's view that just aren't captains and own a business, are that they got to fish in a different time when the lobsters are stable.
Right.
That's all in all right there.
Right.
And if that could be fixed, then I think you'd see some lobster stocks come back. But
and what are the rules with the First Nations? Are they allowed to just get as much as they want whenever they want?
Right now, there's certain some are allowed 3 to 6 traps, and then there's certain bands that are allowed 25 or 100 traps. It varies, but everyone's like, just like in every business, there's bad fucking apples.
Right. Yep.
So I know natives that are doing shit like they're supposed to be doing. I know white people supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. But then you know white people and native people that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So once we get over this race is doing this and this race is doing this, then maybe we'll be able to fix the fucking problem. But until then, I just see more fighting, more threats, someone probably eventually dying.
And do the First Nations get more than the white men?
They don't get more, is how they don't have no big regulations. They don't have their boats. They can go out and not in these like boats that you wouldn't normally go out fishing in, right? And then on top of that, it's not regulated. Like, they're not going to ponds. The lobsters are coming off the boat in crates going onto a truck. No one's looking at them. No one's checking. You know, and I'm not saying everyone's being illegal, but I mean, my God, we live in today's world. Like, if no one's checking your shit, who's to say what's fucking going in them crates? Whether it be what business you're in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the biggest thing for them, and the biggest problem with that, with like you speak conservation, is not everything's being weighed and counted for. And it's summertime and lobsters are dying just sitting in the crates.
I was talking to Andrew.
What's the most important message you'd like to pass on to the next generation?
Oh, for me, the next generation needs to be free. We absolutely have to be free. Freedom is under attack. In Canada, the government is trying to, in the past, during the COVID-19 crisis, trying to make you take the shot. If you protest against that, they're trying to restrain your bank accounts. Freedom is under attack in Canada, and I think freedom is under attack through the world, because if you look at Russia, freedom is under attack through an authoritarian government under Putin. And, you know, it's an ongoing thing. Democracy is a thing where people get to vote and have a choice. But at the end of the day, even if there is democracy is undermined by corporations. Corporations that brainwash you to go and do certain things. And so my message to the people that come after me is, be careful about your freedom. Be careful that your freedom is not being supplanted by authoritarianism and planted things in your idea and your mind that you want to do, which you don't want to do. That's very important. I lived under the COVID restrictions in Canada, some of the most austere restrictions, provincially and also federally.
What was that like? All right, were you in none of it?
I was for a time, but then I left from here. But even to leave from here, I needed a fucking medical note from an unelected doctor to say I could leave from here.
Wow.
It was crazy.
And that was just to go back home in Nova Scotia?
That was just to get to Winnipeg.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beyond the pale, because the governments at the time put all the democratic authority in unelected medical doctors. Say, well, we can do this, we can do that. But guess what? That's all fine and dandy if you abide by the medical authority. But if you question that medical authority, you're a lunatic. And there's no avenue per questioning that medical authority.
Right.
You can question your elected officials. You can complain. You can write a letter. You can vote them out.
That's still a process.
What are you going to do to a non-elected medical doctor of the province? Nothing. And that's a problem that's been going on across Canada, and it's still being solicited by human rights and people against COVID restrictions. It's still going on. It's still going on that these people are taking these provincial governments and doctors to court, as they should.
Yeah.
Or
What are we have just maybe like a few more questions left for you guys. What are your hopes for the future of Nova Scotia's coastal communities?
Well, what happens is where we're from is that the coastal community is not protected by a rock barrier sufficient for the rise of sea level, if indeed it rises. For example, the cases out on climate change. Not everyone agrees on what's going to happen. Yes, we agree there's climate change, but the repercussions is not universal. But in a coastal community, when it's protected by, especially in an island where we're from, by rock armament, eventually the seas are going to overwhelm the rock armament and inundate the roads and cause flooding to the houses that are along what we call Water Street.
Isn't it crazy how we value an oceanfront? However, they're not always going to be there. There's a ticking time bomb sometimes in some cases.
Exactly. If I was a new young person, honestly, like, you know, given the science and whatnot's going on, is I'd advise, you know, the waterfronts are beautiful, but in 40 years, when you're my age or maybe a little older, you might have a waterfront if you buy a little bit further up off the sea level.
I have a theory. Actually, I think I heard this theory from somewhere.
I've seen it go on in fishing, right? So.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt there, but like when I started periwinkle when I was like 8 years old, there used to be what they call a full tides. There's still full tides.
But what is periwinkling?
What?
Yeah, well, it's periwinkle. It's these little snails you pick off the beach, right?
So, okay. Like escargot?
Escargot, yeah, exactly. So, get to my story, is when I was 8, a full tide was like the biggest. You heard it was like 28-foot tide. And then when I turned like 20, 25, there's 29-foot tides. And now that I'm 41, they go 30-foot tides. And now when they go, like when the tide goes out, like when the tide goes out, when I was 8, it went to like what they called a 0.1 was a big tide. Yeah. Now it goes -4, -5 tides.
Holy.
And I don't even understand what the -4, -5 means.
Yeah.
But I just know it means it's a big tide.
I know a foot in ocean elevation is pretty crazy. And for that to happen in someone's lifetime.
Yeah, it's wild, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
But here's devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Does it mean anything?
I think it means you buy higher ground.
Because it may have been happening from time and immemorable.
Right. And it might continue forever.
And it has been.
Right.
Climate change has been happening for millions of years.
Yep. And
the Arctic, where we are, what you call Nunavut, your very podcast. This place was considered a tropical place with lizards and dinosaurs. Now it's a white tundra place covered with ice and polar bears. Anyone can go on Google and look back at the history of this area. And it was considered by scientists and geological people as a wet tropical area.
Well, you didn't get warm-blooded creatures in the ground up here from it being winter. So
humans never caused climate change.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever go back to a cold era? Like, do you think it'll start cooling maybe thousands of years in the future?
Well,
Or-
just
or-
just from what I read, like basic knowledge is there's a heating period and a cooling period, just like there was so many thousands, 100 million years ago, or whatever the time.
Right. And one of my biggest questions, I guess this is my second last question. Are you guys worried at all about the cosmos? So we talked about the ocean for a little bit. Cosmos, asteroids, aliens. The world could end in a ton of different ways. All right, we're dealing with Earth. We got climate change. We're talking about the cosmos. We're talking about asteroids, aliens. Are you guys worried at all about the external factors, or are you mostly just trying to focus on having a balanced life? The things that you do have control
I
over.
would just say living a balanced life. Everybody knows the ifs, ands, and buts, I believe, and I think just
Do you
don't
think-
get too caught up in what you really might know what's going on, but just try to enjoy the time you have and try to do good and love. I guess that's my goal.
I agree with him, but I'm studying what's going on. There's a lot of UAP sightings, unidentified aerial phenomenon, going on all over the world. People are seeing that, and governments are denying what people are seeing. Whatever it is, people are seeing things that are extra anomaly, like meaning not what you normally see. Things are going on in the skies.
Could they be?
Personally, I think there's and we're being inundated by extraterrestrials,
Yeah.
but it's not obviously in a warmongering way.
Yeah.
Because if they can light up the sky and make 40 things appear and disappear in a blink of an eye, which is impossible, then they have extraordinary powers that this Earth does not have, nor the governments of the Earth.
And then we get into the whole simulation theory. Are these beings from different dimensions? Are they intelligent? Like, are they even the creators of this simulation?
Well, what I read actually about some of this stuff is they're not looking to destruct or destroy. They're looking for like natural proteins maybe, or possible things that keep them alive.
Right. So like humans?
Well,
So,
not
like-
humans. Like there's lots of things on Earth that has proteins besides human.
Right. One cool thing
So our algae
Yeah.
alone in the seawater has protein in it.
Oh,
Anything. That's one of them conspiracy things,
Yeah.
right? I read it time to time.
Yeah.
Right?
one of my favorite conspiracies is the reason we love gold is because the aliens have instilled it in us to mine the gold for them. They want the gold because the gold it's spread out very easily. So the theory is that they're on a planet where the sun the radiation is impacting. They have no what do we have, atmosphere over our Earth?
Yeah, atmosphere.
And so they don't have that. What they can do is take the particles of gold and expand it over their planet, and that will reflect the radiation out of their stuff.
Yeah, it kind of makes like they're trying to do with weather right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Blow shit in the air. Yeah. Well, hey man, they put diamonds and gold in iPhones and these cell phones now. So like, is it producing some type of helpful energy to like?
Right.
I see a little thing on YouTube that you put a iPhone and you put steel wool around it and make a phone call, it catches fire.
Right. And one of the cool things I like
And you're
about
putting that to your head.
yeah, and one of the things with technology is like we're always constantly seeking the best next thing. What's we want cars faster, we want cars
More-
shinier.
Yeah, exactly right.
And one of the cool things is, what are we working towards? Are we working towards building something that's perfect? Like maybe it's AI.
yeah.
Are we trying to build a perfect sentient being that is eventually going to come alive? Like we're always chasing the next best thing. No.
That's the big topic here lately, even from the young guys and my nephew and other people I've talked to, even young kids, is about AI.
Hey.
They're aware of it. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and do you, so one of the things that I've been told is, or I've seen is, although I forget where I'm going with this, but like it seems like, so even with mathematics, was mathematics invented or was it discovered? Same thing with AI. Was it invented? So like, even though we say it's conscious or it's intelligent, some people say we've created it to be intelligent, but maybe we've unearthed this being.
I'm thinking under some type of knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't think someone just said, hey, fuck, X, Y equals Z and he's all that stuff. I don't think someone just abruptly came up with that. I think that's been Like that could be ancient like, galaxy fucking knowledge.
I can't wait, man. I'm so excited to see what this world has to bring us.
It could be the end.
Could be, yeah, the singularity.
Well,
Yeah, singularity.
I read a quote in a spiritual thing. It said, "There's an
Horse.
Armageddon going on everywhere, but what are you gonna do about helping somebody out?"
Right, and I guess that is, so here's what,
Like you think overseas, what the fuck's happening? That's not nothing short of an Armageddon.
right?
End of the fucking days, right there.
Yeah.
Like for them people.
And that does, so that philosophy has actually been explored. So like, for example, like if your neighbor's house is on fire or your neighbor is calling for help, we all pretty much would like to say that we are going to go help our neighbor. We're going to peel out of bed at 3 a.m. We're going to go help. All right. 2 houses over. Neighbor's house is on fire. They're screaming for help. We would all like to think that we would get out of our bed still and go help. At some point, 100 feet away, or maybe it's a country away, at what point do we stop helping our neighbors? There does come a point, but we do think that no matter what, we would like to help.
Yeah, I understand that question, and I'm telling you right now, like, I'd like to sit here and think I'm a fucking hero and would like see like possibly go and help someone, but like I've seen burning shit go down, and I don't know some of the people that has happened to, but just recently, a couple years ago in Weymouth County, a guy went in to save his some people he didn't even know. And mind you, they were special people, and he knew that they were special people.
Right.
He went in and saved them, but he died.
Did
And
anyone survive?
so did one of the people in there, but he got 2 out.
Holy, okay, that's a real hero. And I guess there is sort of the mentality. That's what a lot of firefighters put into their brain, or so right off the bat, they don't like hiring young men. Because the young men have that philosophy is I'm going to be a hero. I'm going in the burning building. I'm going to fly down the highway at Mach 10, and I'm going as fast as I can. But that's when mistakes are made.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like they say like
Hothead type thing.
Yeah, they want calm, cool, collect. If they want people that when they get the call, you're not putting your 4-way flashers on to speed down the highway. You have to go the speed limit.
Yeah.
You get to the call, you do everything by protocol, and you don't go into a situation that can potentially harm you. Like, you have to take all the necessary protocols to make sure that you are coming out alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can save somebody, then you save them. But you're
similar stuff they give in the oil field. Sorry to interrupt you. Same thing with working in the oil field. I can relate to that. Is like you can do what you can do, but if you think that you're going to be in danger, and that danger you can't be like schooled on. You got to recognize it. You know, common sense.
Yeah.
And you make your decision from there.
You're working in the oil field, eh?
Yeah, I did a lot, but I always go back to fishing, man. I've been in the oil field, construction, well testing.
You've done all the hard jobs.
Yeah, I kind of I listen. I was working on that SAS power plant, and our crew, which was Ocean Incorporated, we did steel studding and boarding. And so this guy that worked for I can't remember the name of the big company there, but this guy ended up having to go to another place, and my supervisor was a big fucking time guy. Like, he knew everybody. And he said, one of the guys was talking, he said, man, it's going to suck, man. My fucking guy that lugs everything around, knows everywhere to go, he's fucking gone. He goes, everybody knows him, Curtis, and my name happened to be fucking Curtis. So just by who you know sometimes lands you the fucking job. I ended up being the name Curtis, so I ended up, Barclay was the name of the company from Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up getting this sweet-ass job. But when I was working well testing on the oil field, I was like, man, I wish I could just be the guy driving the fuck around and making the big money.
Yeah.
I got that job. It was like, oh, fuck, I got the job I always wanted. You know, I'll make $40 an hour just driving around. And I did that for 3 or 4 months, and I said, fuck this, I'm going fishing. I fucking, I could have went in with that company big, but that sitting around, man, I couldn't do it. It's always had to be hands-on doing stuff for me.
And this is the final question I have for you is how do you plan to contribute to the legacy of your profession?
Well, my biggest thing is I believe no matter what we do for fishing,
here's another secret.
as the water warms up, it doesn't matter what we do, the lobsters, the fish, everything's going to keep going north. So if whatever the world does, I guess, makes that decision for sea life. Because as a fisherman, starting when I was 12 and 13, being 41,
Yeah, man.
I've seen all kinds of new things that are in the Bay of Fundy. I've seen how much longer they stay, you know, things like that. But my major thing to keep that way of life going for what I could do or what I could teach is do what the conservation wants you to do, measure, throw your jinks back, try to fix up this illegal fishery that catches thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds in the summer that actually doesn't just hurt the fish and the fishery on the bottom of the ocean, but also hurts the prices throughout the year, because it's filling up canneries that are usually filled up in October, November, December. It's also hurting the price by people being, the lobsters are always around. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
you know what I mean? There's all kinds of factors, right? But that main thing would be the measuring, not your seeded lobsters. What I mean by that, like you have a little device that puts a V in their right second end tail in. You notch it, and they're allowed to grow. You have to throw that lobster back for 3 years.
Yeah, you're onto something, man. You got the right track.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it for a long time, and alls I can really feel that as the water warms up, and I've seen it happen, is the lobsters are gonna, like, just all of a sudden, like PEI is starting to catch more.
Yeah.
Newfoundland's booming, starting to boom in lobsters. They're always decent, but now the lobsters are moving up.
Yeah.
Maine catches nothing barely to what they used to catch. Where I'm from and Denny's from in Briar Island and Grand Manan on the New Brunswick side, placid, I've seen 19,000 pounds in one catch. Extraordinary. I wanted the day to fucking end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't matter how much money I was
See ya.
making. I just wanted the fucking day to end.
Yeah.
But just in that time, in 10 years' time, since that time, them catches have gone from that amount to like 3,000, 2,000, 5,000.
Holy
You know what I
cow.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's because
Amazing.
of the water, because
Yeah.
the lobsters are moving further and the overfishing in the St. Mary's.
Right.
Because it's a major breeding, laying ground to get strong, get healthy, move on. Yeah. So that's my opinion.
Well, that wraps up our chat with Denny and Curtis, two brothers with deep ties to the sea and lives full of change and adventure. As we say goodbye, we're reminded of the importance of embracing change and finding strength in our roots and passions. Thank you for joining us on Nunavut Knowledge. We hope you leave.
I just would like to give a little final spot here.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Ryan, for inviting us over. This is my third podcast. It's very special. I don't know that the viewers can't imagine the kind of ambience you provide, but the host provides a good ambience, the music and the ambience. Not only that, he had the wherewithal to be cognizant that my brother was in town and invite him over for a special largely about fishing. You know, there's not a lot of places where you're gonna get an authentic fisherman from the blood to the bones, who can expound on it and give you the raw details of what fishing in the Atlantic Ocean is like. And Ryan, the host, deserves a congratulatory note for that, because for your wherewithal to understand what you had before you, to invite him over.
All I do is organize. I think you guys painted a great picture today. I'm very happy with this episode. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ryan.
And we're out.
Man, that was successful.